Hello, everybody. Sarah with you today for this week's Technique Tuesday. So our theme for the month of September is paint. In my craft room, I have one go-to paint color, and that is white acrylic paint. And that's going to come into our layout in just a bit. But first, I'm going to use some of this Minte chalk paint. Now, this is a lovely pink, purple color called Lilac, and it is a perfect, beautiful match to the collection we're going to work with today, which is Simple Stories' new Simple Vintage Life in Bloom collection. This is a re-release. So my idea for my layout today. First, I love this wreath design, so I'm going to go ahead and use that for my page today. I have 3 photos, and you can see here my photos fit perfectly in this wreath. So my plan is to do a little bit of painting behind this area of my photo, just to about here, but with paint marks. So I'm going to stick to the inside of the wreath, and I'm going to create a little bit of a more large mat to the background of my page. I'm also going to water some of this down a little bit, and I'm going to use this and some white acrylic paint, and I'm going to add lots of extra splatters. And then our layout is going to come together really quick, because once we have that painting done, I am just going to add a few embellishments to bulk up my wreath and create a little bit more detail inside of my wreath, and then a little bit of a title, journaling spot, those kinds of things up in here. So let's get started. The other thing to take note of is this paper is not super thick, and it is printed paper. So I'm going to have to back this pattern paper up with some thin cardstock to give it a little bit more stability. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to start by taking off the branding strip. I'm going to start by painting just on this and then letting it dry, because once that warping happens and the paint is dry, then I can smooth it out onto some white cardstock. Okay, let's get started. So let's get started with our painting. The first thing I want to discuss real quick is some interesting things about Minte chalk paint. One thing to take note of is that this paint likes to separate. I have quite a few colors in this paint, and I really like it, but it separates horribly. And it separates straight from, like, if you buy a brand new container and you open it, it will be separated. So just kind of know that going in, and when you do kind of purchase it and have it, I always set it down into a sink and then just take a paint stirrer or a stick and just work it and work it and work it until it's all blended together. Once it is all blended together, I'm going to show you a little trick for putting it away. But for my painting today, I'm just using a wide flat brush. I love the look of the paint strokes, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of dry brushing to feather the edges. And I'm going to use this as the mat for my pictures today. I'm then going to take some of this paint, I'm going to put it off on the side of my mixed media glass mat, and I'm going to show you this trick. So this is Glad Press and Seal, and what you do is just take the Glad Press and Seal, push it down so it touches wherever your paint is, wrap the Glad Press and Seal around, getting a nice firm, making sure it's good and adhered to the inside and the outside of the paint jar, and then screw on the lid really good. In my experience, that will keep your paint from separating as fast or as badly as if you just pull it right out. So when you first get it, set it down in a sink, mix it super good, and then after that, from then on, use that Glad Press and Seal to get yourself a good firm seal on that jar. I'm switching brushes now. I'm going to a fan brush to give me little splatters, and I'm just adding this to the edges of my wreath. I absolutely love how this chalk paint dries. It dries beautifully light and matte, and it's so pretty. So in addition to the purple splatters, lilac splatters, I also want to do some white splatters. So I have just some white acrylic paint. I've watered it down, and I'm using that fan brush again. I love white acrylic paint for splatters. You don't need any kind of special brand or kind. I'm sure there are loads of different kinds over at A Cherry on Top that you can choose from. Because I did this painting on just a thin piece of pattern paper, I do have quite a bit of warping. So I'm going to kind of pull and stretch this paper to give it so that it flattens out a little bit, and then I can work and continue to build my layout on it. So I have some just score tape, tear it tape here, whatever you have, strong sticky tape, and I'm just putting it on the edges of the paper. I'm not going to put it into the middle. In the middle, I'm just going to add my favorite tape runner adhesive. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull one side off of this layout. So just that one edge. And then I'm going to pull the two side pieces just about halfway. So what you can't see on camera and what I can't show on camera is the pressure and the pulling. So I'm lining up this paper. You can see there. And then I am using pressure and pulling. And that's going to get the warping to a bare minimum. And then I'm going to pull some more of that tear tape off the edges. And then I am pulling and pushing at the same time and getting rid of all of the bubbles that would be that want to occur. Let's say that want to occur. Anyway, all the air, pushing and pulling so that this is flat onto the white cardstock that will give my finished layout stability. Now I can go ahead and put my layout together. I've chosen these papers from the 6x8 paper pad. I'm not using the purple. We have that lovely deep lavender background. We don't need any more purple. So I'm going to use the pink, the tealy blue, and the orange to back my photos with. So the chalk paint or any kind of acrylic paint doesn't really like to stick to tape runners. So I like to use a wet glue. Now I am just putting a tiny little bit of wet glue on there. I'm being super careful. I don't want to blob the glue on. I want to have it be a nice, thin, even area of glue. So you can see here and I'm not even pushing, so I push a little bit on there, but then I'm really just moving it around with the tip of the glue bottle. And then I'm going to walk away for a couple of minutes, let this glue cure and adhere really nicely to my background. For embellishing, I'm going to keep my embellishments really, really simple. So I am going to just choose kind of 3 small areas to add a cluster to. I'm going to choose the top left, the bottom right, and then a little auxiliary cluster that will be along the side of my layout. I'm going to start with the floral ephemera pieces and choose some larger pieces to start my clusters. Next, I'm going to use one of the titles from the foam sticker sets and choose a title. There were lots of titles that would work for this layout. I really loved the way that Soar looked, and I was wondering if it would work with my photos. My photos are of a carousel, which, you know, they do go up and down and they go around and you're kind of soaring through the air. But at first I was like, no, then yes, then no. I went back and forth, but in the end, that was what fits the absolute best. So I am, again, because I'm adhering part of this title to the paint, I am going to add some wet glue and then get my title into place. And then I'm going to take a peek at the rest of the foam stickers on this kit, and I'm going to choose a couple more to add to my layout. I don't want the Soar to be the only thing that is kind of popped up and on foam, and there are so many options in this sticker pack that it was quite easy for me to find a couple more pieces to add to my layout. For some smaller embellishments to add to my clusters, I'm just going to use some of these stickers from the sticker book. I'm going to choose a couple of small butterflies and a banner piece that says lovely day. I'm also going to choose a little phrase sticker that says best day ever, because this was perfect. We had such a fun time at this amusement park that day that a little bit of a best day ever was definitely perfect. And because of the way I attached the glue, see, I can lift up where the glue isn't and pull that foam right away from the paint. So I know that adding the extra adhesive was a good thing. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of pop some stickers and have them interacting with my title then too. I'm also being mindful of how much black I'm adding to my page because I have that large title. I don't want it to look out of place or strange. So to balance it out, I added that little camera down at the bottom so that my black title wasn't the only big pop of black on the page. I'm going to add a few of these cute little decorative brads and tuck them into a couple different spots. And lastly, some beautiful sequins from my stash to kind of scatter around on this wreath and as part of my embellishment clusters. I do love a little sparkle at the end. And then my layout is done. Thank you so much for joining me today here at A Cherry on Top's channel. I hope you have a fabulous Tuesday, and don't forget to break out some of your paints or try some of this beautiful chalk paint from Minte. They have loads of different colors. You can see all the gorgeous texture and color it gives to my layout. Bye.